Hello everyone, this is Alexander Flores and welcome to episode 8 of Creating a Software Company. In this video we're going to be using Amazon and AWS Cognito in order to create user accounts. So in this video we're strictly going to be focusing on just the very basics of just getting accounts created. We're going to be creating a form for signing up. We're not going to be worrying about logging in just yet, that'll be in the next video. But for now we're just worrying about creating user accounts and displaying any errors that might come with those. So here I am with AWS Cognito, and right now we're just going to focus on the user pools. Go ahead and click on this. Okay, so I have no user pools, and let's simply create a user pool at the top right. So this is going to be the pool name right here, and then I want to go through and step through all the settings. We want email address or phone number. We're going to select email right here, and let's click on next step. Then I like to leave the password strength by default, so we're going to require people to have a more secure password. This should be checked by default, but make sure this right here is checked. It'll allow users to sign themselves up versus having people or administrators sign them up. Let's go to next step. And right now I'm not going to worry about multi-factor authentication, so I'm going to have these as off, and then also email is what we want right here. So that way they're going to be able to receive emails to verify their account. So here, I'd like to use the link so they can easily just click on the link. So for the subject, we can say something like this, and we can go through and edit all this stuff later on. And so this is fine. We'll customize the email address later on. I don't want any tags right now. This, I'm going to do user opt-in. Okay, so now we have to create an app client. And because we're using JavaScript, the JavaScript library does not allow us to use client secrets. It will give us an error. And so let's say social website, and then click on next. Now we're not going to mess with any of these. In the future, we might actually go through and call some Lambda functions. Okay, so this looks fine, just everything we just created. So let's click on Create Pool. Okay, so now let's go over here, and I want to create a view. We'll call it signup.ejs. So this is going to be very, very basic. Again, when we're creating the website, we're not actually going to be working on the design at all. We're simply going to be making it so the website is functional. Okay, so I have some very basic input fields here, and then let's say method is post. Action is going to be sign up. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our routes and let's listen for people who are trying to get to this page. Request response. So now we're simply just going to render the sign up page. And this seems like that's working. Let's go over to localhost. Okay, so now we have the email address, password, confirm password, and the sign up button. Okay, so now we want to listen to the post request for sign up, request response. Okay, so before I actually work on this, we have to import something called body parser. So we're going to install body dash. Can I zoom in on this? Okay. So let's install body parser right there. Then let's go ahead and use the middleware. So right here, for example, we could say body parser equals require body dash parser, and then here we could say app.use body parser.json, and then app.use body parser.url encoded extended true. Okay, so now that we have this set up, let's go back over to our routes, and then let's simply response.send request.body. Okay, let's go to sign up. Okay, so right now we're just entering any email and then 1-digit password because we don't care. We're just checking to see if this would work. So yeah, it sent the data back. So that is working. So now let's go ahead and get some variables out of this. Email equals this dot email. Password equals password. And then confirm password equals confirm password. Now it's confirm underscore password. Okay, so there's that. Then we could say if password is not exactly equal to confirm password. And I'm not going to go ahead and do the correct form of like checking every single thing to make sure it's valid and all that stuff, and to verify that the password is secure enough, because once we pass this stuff to AWS, it will send back if it's not. So the only thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that the passwords are correct. So we can redirect to sign up error equals passwords. We'll just leave it like that. So we can return from there. We can do a more efficient way of doing this later, but right now I'm just trying to get the base functionality done. So now let's go ahead and actually try and sign up with AWS. So the first thing we want to do is we want to install a package called Amazon Cognito Identity.js. So we're going to go ahead and install that, and let's go ahead and import it. Amazon Cognito Identity.js. Okay, so we have that. Now what we're going to do is, once we're here, actually above in the global variables, we're going to say create a variable called user pool. We're going to set the user pool ID to a string and the client ID to a string. So these are simply going to be inside the config as well. So config.cognito.userpoolID, and then config.cognito.clientID. So once we have that, we can create a variable called user pool. Actually, this should be called pool data. User pool equals new Amazon Cognito Identity Cognito user pool, and we'll pass in pool data. So now we can use this to access our user pool. So now we're going to want to create a variable called email data, and this is going to contain some information about our email. So the name of this data is going to be email, and the value will be wornoffkeys@gmail.com. So this is where you would put your user's email. And actually, because we have that, let's just do that. Then we want to create, if I can spell, create something called an email attributes. Amazon Cognito Identity dot Cognito user attributes, and we're going to pass in email data. So now we're going to do user pool dot sign up. We're going to pass in the username, which is going to be our email, and then the password, which will be password. Then we want an array of different attributes. I'm just going to put that right there. We're going to pass in null and then a function. So we could say if error, return console.error error. Then we can go ahead and do console.log data. We can actually do .user. So we can send this back. This probably is going to be better. So response.send, we can send back this information. So let's go ahead and try this out. So let's see. Okay, everything's working fine. So let's just go back to this. Okay, so we have an error. Let's see what that's about. Both user. Okay, so I haven't actually created the user pool yet. So let me go ahead and, I just haven't put this information. So the pool ID will be this, and let's put that into the config. And all these keys, I always delete the app right afterwards and create an actual one. So app clients, let's create a new app client. We'll call this social-website. And then we do not want to generate a client secret because JavaScript doesn't allow that. or the JavaScript SDK for Cognito. Let's copy that right there and paste it there. And let's see if this restarts correctly, as it does. And then I'm aware that we're gonna run into a couple bugs here, but I want to debug them with you guys. So now our password needs to, I'm gonna do capital P, password 1, and then exclamation point. So capital P, password, I don't think I typed that right. Password 1, exclamation point. Then we're going to sign up, and we get an error. Confirm password is not defined. Confirm password. That's the name. Okay, I see what I did wrong here. Silly mistake. Let's go ahead and refresh this, which will resend that same form. Okay, so fetch is not defined. So I've ran into this a few times every single time I use this. So the way I found online how to fix it, we can install Node.JS. And then while that's installing, we can go over here and before we import this, we could say global.fetch equals require node fetch. So it's probably more elegant ways to fix this, but this works perfectly fine for me. Make sure we spell that right. Go ahead and save that, wait for it to install. Okay, so now let's go back over here and we see that the app is running correctly. So let's refresh again and resubmit the same form. Okay. Okay, so here's something that I have to go over here and do. We have to go to app integration, domain name, and we have to assign a domain. So let's just say social dash, and then let's minimize this and we can check availability. And this domain is available, so we can save the changes. Now let's open this up again and let's refresh, resubmit. And here we have a bunch of information on the user. So we have the client ID, we have an endpoint, the user agent, the session is null. We have a bunch of different information here. Okay, so if we go over to users and groups, we now see that we have a user here. It is unconfirmed, and I'm gonna check my email real quick. So this is a very basic email, and there was a point where we could customize this, which we will do later. So we just have to click on this link, and then it should say that our account is confirmed. There we go, your registration has been confirmed. We can go ahead and close that. Now if we go over here and we refresh this, you see it says unconfirmed beforehand. We refresh and it says confirmed now. So we're gonna be able to check that status later on in our code to make sure that we don't actually grant a user who has an unconfirmed email any type of access. So we created a user and then sent them a confirmation email with just these pairs right here. So we didn't write any of the email stuff ourselves, and so Cognito does a lot of the heavy lifting for us. So this is a very basic way to create an account system. That is pretty much it for this video, just very basic usage of Cognito to create users. Over the next couple of videos, we're going to be doing things such as resetting a password, changing an email, things like that. And so that is it for this video, and thank you for watching.